So red maple has had a whole troubled history in maple. You know, how many sugar makers you know of would never tap a red maple, or now just reluctantly do it because everyone else is doing it. But it was actively excluded from sugar bushes. It was cut even if it was better formed, bigger diameter. If you had a sugar maple there, it was going to be favored. And some of it had to do with essentially long-standing folk wisdom or a whisper campaign. I don't know. But yeah, the idea was lower sap sweetness, poor tasting or earlier to make off-flavored syrup, weaker trees in general. You might have a point there, but it has a different life strategy, certainly different architecture, isn't as long-lived. But when you actually not just measure the sap in a bucket once or twice a season, but carefully measure the sap volume and sap sweetness over multiple years, you see that the end result in syrup production is no different between red and sugar maple. You are dealing with a different species, different life strategy, different risk for stem breakage or pore form and that sort of thing. But most of those excuses, or whatever you want to call it, most of those points that are made against retaining red maple in your sugar bush have pretty much been shown not to be the case. And I think Abby does a much better job describing it. We have full-length presentation of her work here if you want to. Check that out. And you already know this, but you know, red maple adds diversity to your sugar bush. You know, forest tent caterpillar especially does not favor that at all. This is a sugar bush up in Craftsbury I was in during that 15, 16, 17 period. You know, all you have left are veins, petioles, maybe a tiny little bit of leaf tissue on the sugar maple, and this beautiful frame of red maple around, you know, same sugar bush. So there's some phenolic compounds in the leaves that really the caterpillars don't like. They've even done some work where they, I think they like poplar or quaking aspen actually much better than some other species, forest tent caterpillar that is. They did some work, I think it was in the Midwest. They ground up red maple leaves, extracted the juice, sprayed it on aspen leaves, and saw a reduction in feeding behavior as a result. So there's definitely some chemistry to those leaves that dissuade caterpillars from feeding. And it's got a much wider range of niches that it can compete well in. So wetter sites, maybe drier sites. So in a period of changing climates, you know, it does seem like something that would be worth to include in the mix.